Linear times passing, I don't know about the other stuff. Good evening. Welcome to New Horizons. Excellent. Right, huge welcome to Darren Deojee with Who Wants a Change in States, nationally, personally or globally. Tonight's talk mentions change. That's a bit of a buzzword these days. Politicians like it. It confuses me. Obviously something must be broke. So is constant change better than consistency or steady evolution? Darren asks a question about changing the title. He attempts to reveal what we may change from by highlighting what stage of restraint, if any, we may be under. So please welcome Darren Deojee. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Wow, I am greatly honoured and flattered to have such a great turnout this evening. It's amazing to see so many chairs filled. It's funny to do blurbs for stuff when I know that that's rarely what an event is going to be about. And I thought the generic title would be enough to get us started and we could go from there. So I really want to, first of all, just thank you all for your time. We all have very busy lives. We all have lots of choices as to what we can do with our time. So I greatly respect your choice to be here tonight listening to me. So I hope I can make it worth your while. So tonight is about change. That's an interesting word. It's funny how Rob picked up on it as being a bit of a buzzword. I wasn't going to start on change, but maybe I will. So, has anybody here? Well, there's two subjects we're going to really pay attention to tonight. One is the idea of sovereignty and what it means. Have people come across that idea? I think I spoke about it the last time I was here. I'm hopefully going to take that to a new level for you tonight, so you can understand what it is to stabilise your own state, to manage your state in relation to other states that you encounter, and what that means both within yourself and out there in the world. And we're also going to look at, and this is one of the very, very few times you'll ever see me out in one of these. I'm here tonight dressed to you in my collar and cuffs, because as some of you will know, I like to talk about that a lot, but I do believe one of the most significant issues for our species and of our times is that I, as a man, we allegedly live in a patriarchy, but as a man there are places that I cannot go unless I am collared and cuffed. Okay, that's it. I think it's massively significant, and no historian can tell you the roots of the collar and the cuff system and why we live in a graded collar. And so while the women may wear the public face of the subjugation of the sexes, the men are just as collared, quite literally so. And so tonight, what I'll hopefully be able to do as well, depending on how we do for time, is get down to the roots of the collar, what it means for men and how it affects their personal power, their shame, their guilt, their issues around being a man, and all the other associated challenges that men face in this culture. So let's see how far we can get down that road. So it's always difficult to know where to start with a new group, because I walk into a space and I walk into habit. I walk into your habits of coming here. You know, so I come here with my state, my personal state, the state that I live in. I live in the woods with my family. We've not lived in a house for a good few years now, and it's a very, very healing thing to be able to live on the land and just be with nature. It is our natural environment. I think it's very interesting that so many people today visit nature rather than living in it. Why do we visit the countryside? What do you mean? How far away from it are you? And how good is that for our emotional and mental well-being and our physical well-being? I'm not sure. It certainly seems to be there's a lot of evidence on the table to show that stress, diseases and other things arise in people when they are removed from nature for extended periods of time. And we're going to look at that quite a lot tonight, because the subject we're going to be looking at and what the roots of the collar is about a bit of a radical idea I'm going to suggest to you. And it's about the domestication of our species, which is quite interesting, and how there are certain other domesticated species on the planet, but specifically I'm going to be looking at our domestication and how it came about. Now what's really funny is Wikipedia, of all resources, if you look at it, if you look up domestication on Wikipedia, it refers to it as a genetic modification. It refers to domestication as a genetic modification where a creature can no longer live in its natural environments and rhythms, and it requires a support framework to survive. That is basically a paraphrasing of the domestication definition in Wikipedia. Now, throughout the course of tonight we're going to explore that, but I invite you to consider that the supposed measure of civilization in our culture is how far we can remove dirt and earth from our environment. So we think of places like hospitals and Intel and places like that as being highly civilized because they've managed to push dirt so far away. And in our ever-increasing desire to create these sanitized environments for ourselves, we end up alienating ourselves and our own planet, which I think is something that is greatly underestimated, so that we are indeed domesticated because we can no longer live in our natural environment without external support structures. And nobody in that situation is free. Nobody. So the fact I'm here wearing the badge of the collar and cuffs to show how live it is now. And through the course of tonight, I'd like to hopefully demonstrate how live it is in all of us. Because while the men wear the collar, the masculinity principle in women is just as subjugated. So hopefully tonight we're going to explore a whole avenue of ideas for you to take home to consider the scale of the challenge before us all, but to hopefully give you a perspective that will be quite usable. So I have this thing where I walk into your habits. I'm bringing my state in here, but obviously all of you are bringing in your everyday state. You're bringing in whatever concerns and whatever issues you have in your daily life, and then it comes into this environment, which has lots of thoughts in it on a daily basis. And these all create fields and states. We're going to look quite a lot at fields tonight as well, because it's about your field. This country is full of fields. Some of them are just grass. Some of them have houses on them. Some of them have castles on them. They're all stories. Each field, you can think of it like an electromagnetic field. And each one tells a story. Some of them are just grass for all the untold stories, perhaps yours. Some are filled with people's dreams and visions. The house they always dreamt of, the castle, the building, whatever. So what we are in here is we're in a shared field, and I'd like to shake it up a bit because it gets riddled with stagnant repetition and repetitious behaviours. And if we want to do anything creative or meaningful or whatever, we've got to shake ourselves out of our habits. So are you lot up for maybe doing a little bit of that tonight? A bit of audience participation? You think there's a few tentative, uncertain nods there? So that's the point. This is what I meant on the blurb for this talk, was how far we go tonight depends on where all of you guys are at, because this is about the meeting of our states. This is a conference of states here. So what we can co-create as our states meet is determined by each of our courage and tenacity and willingness to overcome our personal habits and personal behaviours. Because all of you have a story of yourself, something you believe about yourself, what you believe you're good at, what you believe you're not good at, what you believe you like and what you believe you don't like. Has anybody here achieved the level of satisfaction, happiness, peace and power and presence in their life that they have aspired to yet? Okay, so that means the methods and behaviours, congratulations sir. But that means for everybody else, the current behaviours and habits have not served to bring you your desired state. So that must mean we've got to do something else, doesn't it? Just logic, that's all. Okay. So we're going to use a few different things today to try and shake it up, and so it could get a little bit chaotic, but that's all right. I like to consider myself an agent of K-order, which is an element of chaos, an element of order. They both work hand in hand. The whole cosmos seems to be built that way. So if we can put a little bit of K-order into the mix, that'll help shake the field up here. So I think what we're going to do is, just because of seeing how I've caught a few of you by surprise, we'll start with the easy stuff. Hold on a second. Okay. What I'd like you all to do is turn to the person next to you and introduce yourself.
Hello, George.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Did everybody... Hello, thank you. Excellent. My goodness, you'll take a long time to introduce yourselves. You've got very long names, don't you? It must be Aztec names or something like that. Did everybody notice the change in state in the room when you did that? Okay. Did you feel it? There was a difference. It came alive, didn't it? It was alive. Okay, and it was animated. That was change. Okay, every time you move your hand, you bring change. Every time I move an object, I've changed the world. It'll never be the same again. That is powerful stuff. The belief in the value of your capacity to bring change is probably the most powerful impact of all the conditioning that we'll be looking at tonight. It's to believe that the change that you bring, the very lifting of your hand, is an act of such potential power if you but believe and will it. Because you can change the world with every single thing you do. And you do. But it's your belief about it that makes it either an everyday act or an act of power. So hopefully tonight we'll hopefully imbue a bit of feeling. Because the funny thing is, when you're all sitting here like this, all stoic and arms crossed and sitting there like that, it's not the same state, is it? And the thing is, this is how you're taught to sit at school. Like good boys and girls, quietly, all that sort of stuff, all well behaved. You know, we're rewarded as being the good boy and girl if we're quiet and we sit there through a duration of being spoken to by a teacher for an hour. And so you're all experts at it now. Again, look at the state it creates. So what we're going to do now is we're then going to take it to another sector. We're going to try and create a bit of a resonant field. Are people aware of resonance? You get, from all the speakers you guys have got here, you must know loads about sound. You must know loads about cymatics and about resonance and about frequencies and all that sort of stuff. Do any of you actually believe it? Yeah, okay. So if I ask you to make some sound, it's not going to be a problem for you because that's creating resonance, isn't it? You should see the faces I can see. Now that consternation, that look there, that immediate bit of apprehension and inhibition is the beginning of your introduction to your own collar, your own freedom of action. I saw a headline a couple of weeks ago which was about the rise in depression and anxiety in the under-10s. And it had a picture of a little girl on the front cover with her head in her hands. And it touched me, it upset me, because I realised that, because I searched for the answers to myself for these things to see where it's hit me in my life. And I realised it's because there's no play for these kids as they're walking around. I remember I hit a breakthrough point with my child when she was 2, my first one, I'm 2 now. That's why nobody sees me anymore. But with my first one, I hit this breaking point of frustration when I was trying to get her to where we were living in Bodmin before. We had to go up and down the hill for water, so I'd be like, come on, we need to go down the hill, and she'd be wanting to stop and look at the berries and the grass and all this sort of stuff. And I'd be the one that was always about the destination. And then I realised, after many times of frustration trying to get her to change the nappy or change the clothes or whatever, that for her, putting clothes on was play and taking them off was play. Walking down the hill was play and walking up the hill was play. It was all play. It was an opportunity to sing and dance and play and do what they liked. And I realised that for these kids now, these under-10s, where do they see play? Where is the allotted place to smile and laugh and have a good time? Where are you allowed to dance and sing and it's okay and acceptable? It was funny, I came up with an idea for an experiment, and so just bear with me while I go through it, it's going to be really funny. I'd like to do a video on this, if anybody's up for it, anybody's got the skills for it, I'd be well up for doing this. So, picture the scene. In a supermarket, each scene, headphones on, headphones off. So I would have headphones on, headphones off in a supermarket, okay? So one would be tapping my foot. You know, I'm in the aisle, the milk aisle, something like that. I'm tapping my foot. So if there's music on in the background, then that's okay. If there's no music on, then people might look at me a bit funny. If I've got headphones in, it's okay. But if I've got headphones out, it might look funny. But then if we go to the next level, and we go beyond just foot tapping, and I start to actually have a little bit of a movement. Just internally motivated, internally desired, just like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling all right today, you know. Again, music on, music off, headphones on, headphones off. When is it okay, when is it not? You all know the answers. When it's acceptable, it's all there in your pre-conscious. Now let's step it up, and you go from just a little boogie to full-on ecstatic trance raving, you know, having a great time, shamanically imbued. You become this wind turbine of shamanic instigation, stamping your desire for change on the supermarket floor and letting those cameras know exactly how you feel about things. Again, music on, music off, headphones on, headphones off. Is it ever okay? Exactly. At what point will security grab you? Okay, welcome to state, welcome to the collar, welcome to the measure of inhibition on your right to play, on your right to sing, and on your right to dance. You know, and then we wonder why kids are sitting there crying and on drugs, anxious, because their parents are sitting there in consternation, with their faces furrowed in fear and concern about what's happening in the world, that even the children can see that the smiles are fake. That's your internal state. And I'm going to be betting tonight that often the face of consternation is mulling over a state and issues which are not directly in your life and world. They're a story about somebody else's life and world, and you make it yours. So you accept the invitation into that state by identifying yourself with it. Did you get that? Okay, so you identify. So every time we see things around us, like newspaper headlines and things like that, it's an invitation. Those of you into your contract law and all that sort of stuff, this is taking it to the next level, to realise at every juncture, at every piece of description or every piece of media you see, you are invited to be a member of a state. Are you British? Are you? If you are, you're a member of that state, because that's what you believe. You've got to watch when we trip ourselves up with our own beliefs. So in sovereignty principle, as a Brit, you've got an external ruler, an external king or queen, rather than an internal one. And we'll look tonight at how the whole issue of the collar is to do with your internal ruler. I forgot we were going to play with changing the field in here a little bit. We wanted to change the field intensity. So, we're going to start off as easy as you like with just an ah sound. Okay? So, wait a minute, it's alright. There we go, points for enthusiasm and will there. So on 3, we're going to have a nice clear ah sound, nice and loud. Do you want me to do an example first, or do you just want to go for it?
Go for it.
Oh, yes, come on, it's nice to see the life. Right, so on 3, we're going to give a good ah. 1, 2, 3, ah! Okay, and again, ah! And again, ah! Okay, now we're going to do ha! 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 Not bad, not bad, not bad, okay, okay. How many people didn't do it? Honestly, it's alright, there's no shame here. There's no shame, there's no guilt, because it's about the issues we all face. Who couldn't do it? Who didn't want to do it? Alright, who did it? How many people are lying? But did everybody do it? That wasn't a loud enough ha. Come on, give it a ha. Ha! That's better. And an ah. Ah! Okay. Now let's go for an E. E! Now we're going to extend the E. We're going to make it like a sound like E. And pause. Pause.